Welcome to the Tangent Podcast. It's good to be back with you on a fine Tuesday evening. How you doing?
Tuesday.
Oh, it's Monday. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. It's the dynamic duo tonight.
Yeah, back to the original duo. Ryan could not make it at this time. He may join later. He may not. Who knows? But don't worry. The good ones are here.
We got you. We got you. Well, should we just get right into it with our drink of the day here?
You gotta start with the drink. You gotta start with the drink.
All right. What are we drinking,
I love
Jack?
how inconsistent we are with this.
I know.
It's just like, you gotta start with the drink, and then some weeks we don't even mention it. We are drinking Aussie lemonade style Monster.
Cool looking can.
It's got like it's got an octopus on it. It looks kind of neat.
Should we read the side thing?
Oh yeah, good, do it.
Inspired by the land down under, with over 10,000 beaches, the Great Barrier Reef, and home to some of the most exotic citrus on Earth, we created Juice Monster Aussie-style lemonade. Monster's twist on classic lemonade, we hit the ideal balance of tart and sweet with a burst of fresh citrus flavor. As always, it's chockers with our world-famous Monster Energy blend. Crack a coldie and give it a go. Unleash the beast.
That was a really good accent, actually.
Thanks.
I like that.
Appreciate it.
My concern is lemonade is just lemons. So
yeah.
Aussie style makes me think they like put spiders in it or something.
They put hatred in it and bugs, yeah.
Aussie lemonade.
Lemonade is good, but I feel like there's a pretty low cap on lemonade.
That's fair.
Like regular lemonade. Obviously there's like raspberry lemonade, but let's get into this.
Yeah. Let's see what we got. Smells like lemonade.
Yep.
Oh.
Different than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's not just lemonade. Is there like some lime or orange in there as well?
There's another citrus in there for sure.
Oh. I like it.
I do too. It's way different than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's...
So I usually don't like the sugary monsters. This one's probably one of my favorites of like the full sugar ones though.
Yes, I'm looking at the ingredients, and one of them is lemon juice, but there's not another juice listed.
There's citric acid, but every monster has citric acid. I like that a lot.
I like it. I like it.
Out of 10, what do you give it?
7.5.
That's what I was going to say.
Maybe an 8. Maybe.
As we go, maybe I'll develop a little bit more taste for it. It does have an interesting kind of like...
This fish in the upper right is making an 8 for me. Look at his face.
Ooh, look at that octopus's face too.
Dude, that octopus is dope. Whoever designs the cans of monsters, they do a really good job. I will say that.
They really do. All right. All
right. Get moving on here to the old encounter. All right. Are you ready for this one? Titled, Walked outside my apartment at night and saw a glitchy screen appear and disappear.
Ooh.
Not even sure what that means yet, but I am curious.
Sounds different than anything else we've had.
Yeah. All right. Oh, hold on. Let me just... I have to make sure... Okay, it's fine. I just had to read through it, because I thought I saw something that might be not appropriate for all ages, but we're good.
Gotcha.
Okay. This happened at around 9:30 p.m. I was going to go out and take out the trash, and I asked my sister to tag along with me and bring my dog along so that he could go pee. I stepped out first, and something bright immediately caught my eye, and it looked like a vertical, rectangular, colorful, glitchy screen. I was ready to brush it off as my eyes just tricking me, and so I quickly looked around for the source of the light, thinking that maybe it was caused by car headlights or whatever. But there wasn't a moving car or a person in sight. Shortly after, my sister stepped out with my dog, and my dog completely freaked out and started lunging into the direction of the light while barking and growling. My sister said, "Oh, there's just someone outside." I pushed my dog inside the house and told my sister to keep him inside and that I'd be right back. When I checked where the light once was, it was gone. I walked down the stairs and called my sister on the phone as I made my way towards the dumpster and explained to her what I saw. She then told me she had just seen a man's head, and it looked like he was just walking by. She then paused and realized that you wouldn't be able to see anyone walking from that angle because we lived on the second floor. She recalled seeing a white man wearing a hoodie and disappearing behind the column. From the perspective of the door, we are unable to see anyone straight ahead of us, plus it's nearly pitch black outside, so even if you could, you still wouldn't have any clear visibility. So in order for a man to be even visible, he would have to be somehow taller than the floor of the second window.
Dang.
So basically, we have no clue what we saw, and my sister saw an oddly placed man, while I saw a weirdly glitchy screen in the exact same spot. At the exact same time. I tried browsing around online to check if anyone's seen anything similar, but I couldn't find much. This honestly isn't our first time seeing things at the same time. From a young age, I would hear and see things weird, and she would also hear them. My dog has also let me know I'm not just seeing things that aren't there. I always check for his reaction as well. That's it.
That's weird. So just a head. So one of them saw just a head and the other one saw a screen?
Yeah.
And they live on the second floor.
Right. She had seen a man's head, and it looked like he was just walking by. Then she paused to realize that you wouldn't be able to see anyone from that angle because we're on the second floor.
Weird. Matrix. We're in the Matrix, my friend.
In the Matrix. Confirmed.
That's a weird one. That's totally different than like a ghost encounter.
I would think that's two completely different things, but then he mentioned that they were in the same spot at the same time.
So they were in the same room looking out the same...
No, I think he was outside and he saw it up there.
Oh, okay.
While she was inside, like looking out the window, and then he was looking from like the side of the house or something like that.
Weird.
I think. And also the dog was apparently barking in that direction as well.
You know what it was? It was, I'll pull it up here. It was, is it Mr. Electric from Spy Kids? It was this guy right here.
Oh.
It was that guy.
George Lopez?
Yeah. Just the head on the screen. It answers both questions.
It does. He just had a small glitch for a second, and while he was logging into his face.
Have you heard of the little conspiracy about, not conspiracy, but like the George Lopez show of how it would always come on late at night and people would always wake up like right at the intro, and everyone has this like same memory of waking up and seeing the George Lopez intro? Let me look it up real quick. It's...
I have read about that, and I've also had that happen to me as well.
Right.
It's called the George Lopez conspiracy.
Yeah.
Or the George Lopez effect.
That's really funny, because that is like it's kind of like a weird, surreal intro to a TV. It's just like a weird thing, like a weird video. So it's kind of funny. It's like that, Have You Dreamed About This Man? It's like the same thing.
Oh,
Everyone has this experience with George Lopez for some reason.
Weird.
Well, cool. That was a good encounter. Thanks for providing that for us. Was that anonymous?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Well, should we get right into the old topic for the day?
I'm excited about this one because I know nothing about it, but I've heard it's crazy.
So this one it's one of my favorites. So I originally heard about it from Alex Jones, which everything that he covers is just
Turning
hilarious
the
and
freaking
funny.
frogs gay?
Yeah, dude, he's been right about a lot of things. Like, did you see the most recent video from October of last year where he was talking about a major war breaking out in February?
Nope.
Yeah, so there's a video of him on his talk show, and he's like, "So right
PolitiFact?
now,
Is that
like
the one?
the what?
PolitiFact? Is that his show?
I think so. Yeah. So he was just on his show talking about how like, so the word is right now that from those like in the higher ups who claim to like not be part of the New World Order, that there's a major war that'll break out in February. So February, big war coming. And that was October of last year. He was right. But yeah, turning the frogs gay kind of happened. Like,
It did? What?
well, there was so there's an episode of Joe Rogan. He interviews this scientist who's talking about how I think it's like phthalates in the water that were they affect like sperm count in men, and so they affect like reproductive health, and in frogs they were affecting them to the point where like frogs were not developing correctly like in their reproductive systems, so it was turning male frogs into like weird like non-gendered or almost female type frogs. So he was kind of right about it. Kind of weird.
Yeah, let's see. Chemicals in the water are turning frogs gay. He also said Robert Mueller is a demon and also a pedophile. He said the Sandy Hook shooting was staged. Oh my gosh, I don't know.
That one's hard. Yeah, that one's...
He also said Hillary Clinton is running a child sex ring out of a pizza parlor.
That Pizzagate. Have you heard of Pizzagate?
I have not.
Pizzagate is another big conspiracy with a lot of the like political elite and business elite in the U.S. That a bunch of them were basically running a child trafficking ring out of a pizza and arcade place, and I think it was in New Jersey.
Would Epstein be connected to that?
I think he is connected to it. Yeah.
Crazy.
But
anyway,
if the Clintons are connected to it, Epstein's probably connected to it too.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, well, I haven't even mentioned the topic for the day yet.
Oh, yeah.
Just mentioned Alex Jones, and we got off there. But one of my favorite topics, the topic of Bohemian Grove. So I like that you haven't heard... Bohemian Rhapsody, yes. I like that you haven't heard anything about this yet, because I think you'll be a little weirded out. Well, first of all, we have to talk about the Bohemian Club. So Bohemian Grove is a place. The Bohemian Club is the people that...
Is it in Bohemia?
No. So
why not?
We'll get into that. So, so the Bohemian Club was founded in 1879 in San Francisco. There was a group of like liberal journalists that wrote for. They all wrote for the same publication, and they like would meet in a bar and they would talk about things. They would talk about like the politics of the time. They would just like go over their ideals. So, they all lived what was considered a bohemian lifestyle, and at that time and still, bohemian lifestyle is kind of defined by more of like I guess you could say it's more of like a hipster, almost a hippie lifestyle. So it's a lifestyle where you're super interested in like arts, literature, things like that. You're kind of disconnected from like possessions and worldly things. You are like anti-establishment, pretty frugal, but at the same time, like you love indulging in like parties and things like that. So kind of like a hipster or a hippie. Like in the 70s, like hippies were like anti-establishment. They loved to drink and do drugs and like that kind of stuff. Super interested in like music and art, things like that, peace, you know. And so that's kind of what the Bohemian lifestyle is. And so that's where the name of the Bohemian Club was derived from, is that all these journalists kind of shared this propensity for a Bohemian lifestyle. And that's what they would discuss. You know, they'd get together, they discuss music, they discuss art, literature. They were all fairly liberal, so they would like bash on the conservative politics of the day, which back then, like this was in 1879. So the U.S., I would say, was way more conservative back then than it is today. And so this was kind of like a new movement, like I said, anti-establishment. So they would meet at this bar, and they'd have
was this?
1879.
1879. Okay.
In San Francisco. So they would meet in this bar, and they would have these meetings, and pretty soon there were these other guys in the bar that would like become interested. It was all men. So these other men would hear what they're talking about, and they'd become interested, and pretty soon the group started to attract like very wealthy men that shared this same propensity for like partying and drinking and things like that, and talking about politics, and basically like really influential rich men of the time. And so they realized like, oh, we got all these rich guys coming in. Now we can make this club legit. We can make it like really exclusive. We could have them like foot the bill for our parties. Like we can do some really cool stuff. So their parties just started to get like more lavish, more extravagant, and they decided to make it like a very exclusive club. So back then, after a couple years, so it was formed in 1879. I think this was like early 1880s. They made an entrance fee, and then you had to pay monthly dues. So back then, the entrance fee was set at $100, which is roughly $2,700 in today's money. So no cheap thing, you know. And then the monthly dues were like $90 to $100 of today's money. So like you definitely had to have, some money, and you also had to have clout. So like they would find people that they could kind of use. So like they would find really talented people that had made a living for themselves, so that they could kind of A, utilize their money, but then B, also like utilize their talents and kind of like be able to manipulate them to use them for whatever they did, whether they were a businessman or a banker or something like that. You know, they would make friends with these rich men to basically kind of manipulate them and bring them into the club. And so they kept this, the only thing that they kept really from like the Bohemian lifestyle, like they kind of abandoned the lifestyle of like frugality and being into like, they kind of kept the arts and literature thing, but like frugality and like disconnection from worldly things, they really abandoned that. So they weren't really like bohemian anymore. But they just started to have like crazy parties, and that's what they loved to do. So then in 1893, they actually started renting out part of the redwood forest from the Sedona Lumber Company. So they'd rent out like a big plot.
Rent the redwood forest?
Back then you could. So they would rent part of the forest, and they'd go out there and like camp and have parties or whatever. And then actually in 1901, they purchased 160 acres of the forest, which today it's actually expanded to 2,700 acres. So it's just over four square.
They still have it?
Yeah, they still have it. This is still a thing. So it's just over 4 square miles. So the area is like 3 times bigger than Central Park. So it's a huge area, and it's super wooded. So at the area now, there's like 100 plus different campsites, like kind of broken off from the main area. And then in the middle of the property, there's what they call the Grove stage. And around the stage, there's a 2,000 seat like amphitheater. And then they have a big campfire circle. There's a huge fire pit that's surrounded by like big redwood benches. They have a clubhouse, and then they have a building that they use for like dining and entertainment service. And then the weirdest thing to me is that there's a huge owl shrine. So that's what's behind me, this big owl statue. So it's a concrete owl statue that's like up on these concrete stairs. And they have like a fire pit right next to that too. So it's a pretty weird thing. Oh, and then there's a big man-made lake as well. And I think if we're looking at this picture right here, like I think that the amphitheater is kind of like surrounding the owl thing right here. And then the lake is either behind the owl or it's behind the amphitheaters, but it's right around where the owl statue is. So this is kind of like the principal feature of the property. So it's still an active thing today. Like it's been going strong for, since 1879. The Bohemian Club is the group, and Bohemian Grove is this property. So it's grown to be, today there's roughly 2,500 members. And then today, the entrance fee, well, this was as of 2017, the entrance fee was $25,000. And that wasn't including your monthly dues either. So you got to pay like a monthly membership fee. And then
subscription.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a subscription box. But then also to become a member, like you have to be recommended by someone that's already a member, or like you have to be recommended by several different people to get in. And then once you're a member, you can also bring approved guests. But if you don't get recommended to be a member, you can get on a waiting list. But the rumor is that the waiting list is like 15 to 20 years to become a member.
Oh my word.
And then once you achieve membership and you pay your dues for 40 years, you become like an honorary member for life. So there's quite a few life members now, but so the members of this club, it's very exclusive. So throughout the years, as it's gotten more exclusive, it's strictly like the world elite. So it's like business magnates, like presidents, politicians, bankers, like financial, like basically the higher ups of the higher ups, like the most elite, the richest, and the most well-connected people in the world. So some of the most notable names: President Reagan, President Nixon, President Ford, President Hoover, Charles Schwab, the guy who founded the Charles Schwab investment group, President Roosevelt, Clint Eastwood, Mark Twain, William Randolph Hearst, both President Bushes, so George H. and George W., Walter Cronkite, Dick Cheney, and then like a bunch of other people as well. But those are some of the most notable. And so just tons of like and then one of the other names was J. Robert Oppenheimer, the guy who invented the atom bomb. That'll come into play later as well. So just tons of like very elite, very wealthy, well-connected people, and they all get together to meet. So they have a gathering every July. So the largest party is for 2 weeks every July, and the property is like super well guarded. I didn't know, like I wasn't able to find out if they hire out security or if they like have their own security, but I know that they have like private property signs everywhere. It's super hard to get onto the property, and if you get onto it, then you'll be arrested if they catch you. And they've basically done a media blackout. So back in I believe it was the 30s, they did a complete camera blackout where no cameras are allowed, no media is allowed in, and anyone that becomes a member or goes on the property is sworn to secrecy. So they have to basically take like an oath of secrecy. And so even the employees, like they hire out a lot of people from the surrounding area to work there as like waiters or, doing laundry, things like that. But even they are not allowed to like directly participate in any of the activities that go on, and they're kind of sequestered to their work area. So they never see like any of the big activities or take part in any of the discussions that go on there. So,
okay, I'm looking at the satellite view of this place, and I'm not finding those places you're talking about. Like, I don't see an amphitheater.
Let me see if I can pull up the map.
It's just covered by trees because there are a lot of trees.
So I can't find like an actual map. I can just find like a recreation of it. But let me find a good one.
Search that. Oh, that didn't help. But you said it was 2,700 acres they have?
Yeah, 20. So it's big. It's over 4 square miles.
Oh, geez. Well, that's gonna take me forever to.
Yeah, let me see if I can find a good map. I know that it is super wooded though. So like because it's in the middle of the redwoods, so like it's dense forests. Like you even have a hard time
I'm trying to
looking
find
into
this lake you said as well, like this man-made lake. I feel like that would be easy to find, but apparently not.
I don't know how big the lake is, but I think it's probably more of a pond than it is a lake. Okay, so here's
the Russian River.
It's I think it's just south of the Russian River. So I think right here is let's see. No, that's not the one I wanted to find. Let me look again here. It's in the city of Monte Rio is what the like town name is. I think it's like 30 miles north of San Francisco.
Yeah, I found Monte Rio, but like all I'm finding there is like a theater and a surf and skate shop and
so let's see. So
a Village Inn. Oh, I love Village Inn. So sad that ours went out of business.
I know. Village Inn was great.
Oh.
So I mean I can see like I can see the property on Google Maps, but okay, so I see. No, it doesn't want to load. So right here, you can see. So here's like the entrance to the property. Oh, you can't. Let me. Let's see. How do I change my? Let's see. Display. Can you see this now?
Why? What?
Let's see. Trying to share my screen in Discord.
Oh yeah, it's not working. Oh well.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Oh,
okay. So the entrance to can you see this now?
Oh, you're on Bing Maps too, by the way.
I know. Just forget about it. I'm too lazy to download Chrome. And too lazy to go to Google Maps. So here's the entrance to Bohemian Grove. There's like a big campsite over here. And I can only zoom in like this far, but I'm pretty sure this is the pond. I think this is the amphitheater right here.
Oh.
And then there's just like tons of space. So they own 2,700 acres back in here. And then there's like a bunch of parking right there. And then there's some clearings right around here. So I don't know the exact makeup of the land, but
I was hoping I'd be able to see the owl, but
well,
that might be it. But
this right here is like so my background is actually from an Alex Jones video. He snuck in. We'll get to that in a minute.
He snuck in? Oh, yeah. That's crazy.
So it's super exclusive. So they kind of, I don't know if they actively patrol the grounds, but they'll arrest you if you break in. So multiple people over the years have broken in trying to get videos of whatever's going on there. And multiple people have been arrested as well. So again, all these notable people, I got to go back to my notes and see where we were at. Oh, yeah. So no media, no cameras are allowed. So like 1930s is when they started doing like a media blackout, not allowing anyone on that wasn't a member, except for staff. And then even then, like, I'm pretty sure with the people that were there had to be some kind of threat of secrecy. Like, hey, we're going to swear you to secrecy, but if you don't keep the secret, like, you know what'll happen, you know? Because I'm sure that the word would have gotten out more by now.
Oh, yeah.
So the only official records that we have are financial records because they are I think it's a 501c organization, meaning that they're exempt from federal taxes. But because they're tax exempt, they have to provide all of their financial records. So we have financial records that are reported for every year, but everything else is just like hearsay and rumors. Other than like the video from Alex Jones and then a couple other like photos and things that have been found, put out in the public. So in this is kind of weird. So 2017, they reported their revenue. So like membership dues and stuff as 10 million. And then they reported their assets as 20 million. In 2011, so that was $20 million. Yeah. So then in 2011, they reported their revenue as 10 million and their assets as 18 million. So over the past like 10 to 15 years, their revenue and assets have stayed like almost the exact same every year, which is super suspicious. So the official holdings that they have, like official revenue and everything, like this is just what they're reporting. So they could, like, with everyone who's going there, obviously they have probably the wealthiest group in the world to meet at one place, you know, like all of this wealth that they have together. So who knows if they're reporting their finances correctly or whatever, but it is suspicious that the numbers are like staying the same from year to year.
They're probably fudging a number or two.
Right. Well, the other thing is that a lot of the people that go there are politicians or they're like CEOs of major worldwide businesses. And so they have a lot of influence over like financial laws as well. So there's a lot of rumor that they're just like exploiting laws so they don't have to pay taxes, or exploiting the financial system so that they can accumulate this massive wealth. So that's one thought of like why they gather there. But it gets weird. So back in 1980, there was a lady named Mary Moore, and she lived really close to the place, and she knew some people that worked there as well. But they couldn't tell her what was going on there, and they didn't really even know anyway. And so she noticed, like, it started to come out in the news really when President Hoover, I think back in the 30s, was going to this thing, that people were realizing, like, man, this is a crazy gathering. Like, there are some really high up people here, like a lot of politicians. And so in the 80s, she started to see all these politicians that were rumored to go to this thing, and thought like, well, if they're discussing like public policy there or laws, like America has the right to know what's going on. So she actually formed a group called the Bohemian Grove Action Network, and they started to protest like outside the gates of the club, of the property. And it just like, it got a lot of coverage. And so people started to get really curious. So then in 1990, there was a Time magazine reporter that snuck in, and he reported that every day by the lake, they would have these discussions. Like one person would get up and they'd have, you know, like a seminar, like he would present something to the group. And so he reported that there was, at the time, it was the commander-in-chief of the Strategic Air Defense Group or something that was like nuclear defense. And he was up there making kind of like a pitch about like new military aircraft program that he wanted people to like invest in. And so kind of weird, like he's up there doing military stuff, trying to get people to buy into this new government military program.
To the military then?
Well, like this is the richest group in the whole world. He wanted them to foot the bill for, you know, military spending. So that was like the first that was an article that came out. What was it called? It was called, let me see if I can find it. It's, oh goodness, I just had it up not too long ago. Masters of the Universe Go to Camp Inside the Bohemian Grove by Philip Weiss. And you can read it, like there's
universe.
Yeah. So there's a whole, it's like a pretty long article too, and you can read the whole thing. Maybe I'll post a link to it in the show notes, but so he was like the first one to really put out a published article about what was going on there. And so people started to realize like, oh, maybe like public policy, maybe laws and business deals are being done, you know, at this weird place. Like maybe we need to get more information on this. So like that was when it really started to come more into the public eye, and people started to get more curious about it. And so then in 1998, there was another guy that broke in, and he was going to make an article about it as well. But then like right before his article was about to hit the press, he worked for, I think Time Warner at the time. And there were some high up people from Time Warner that had gone to Bohemian Grove, and they like totally botched his article and didn't get it out to the press. So there was that. They're like trying to hide his article. And then in 2000, Alex Jones sneaks in, and I don't know how long he was there for. I've heard he was there for like a couple days though. And he was able to blend in because there's obviously tons of people there, and he looks, 99% of the members are white. So he blends in. He's like a white. At the time, he was a pretty average size male. And so he blended in really well. And I don't know.
They're wearing robes. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah. So we're getting into that. So he sneaks in, and the most famous thing that he got, so he had a bag, like a shoulder bag, and he had cut a hole in the shoulder bag and had a camera in there. So he'd cut a hole for the lens for the camera. And he filmed this ritual that they do at night that's called the Cremation of Care. And so there's video of it still. You can watch it, and it's really weird. But basically, there's one he's called the High Priest, and he's dressed in red and black robes. And he gets up and he sings this like chant or song. And I have the lyrics to it. It's kind of long, but I wanted to read it out because it's super weird. So they gather around this owl statue, and the High Priest gets up. And he's in his robes, and everyone else is in like red and black robes as well. They all have their hoods on. So he's filming this thing. And so maybe I'll post a link to the video as well, because it's pretty weird to watch. So the lyrics are, "The owl in his leafy temple, let all within the grove be reverent before him. Lift up your heads, O ye trees, and be lifted up, ye everlasting spires. For behold, here is Bohemia's shrine, and holy are the pillars of this house. Weaving spiders come not here. Hail Bohemians with the ripple of waters, the song of birds, such music as inspires the sinking soul. Do we invite you into midsummer's joy? The sky above is blue and sown with stars. The forest floor is heaped with fragrant grit. The evening's cool kiss is yours. The campfire's glow. The birth of rosy-fingered dawn. For behold, here is Bohemia's shrine, and holy are the pillars of his house. Shake off your sorrows with the city's dust, and cast to the winds the cares of life. But memories bring back the well-loved names of gallant friends who knew and loved this grove. Dear boon companions of a long ago, let them join us in this ritual, and not a piece be empty in our midst, all of these battles to hold, in this gray autumn of the world, or in the springtime of your heart, attend our tale, gather ye forest folks, and cast your spells over these mortals, touch their world-blind eyes with carrion, open their eyes to fancy, follow the memories of yesterday, and seal the gates of sorrow. It is a dream, and yet not all a dream. Dull care in all of his works harbored it, and vanished Babylon and goodly Tyre. So shall they also vanish, but the wilding rose blows on the broken battlements of Tyre, and moss rends the stones of Babylon, for beauty is eternal, and we bow to beauty everlasting. For lasting happiness we turn our eyes to one alone, and she surrounds you now. Great nature, refuge of the weary heart, and only balm to breasts that have been bruised. She hath cool hands for every fevered brow, and gentlest silence for the troubled soul. Her counsels are most wise, she healeth well, having such ministries as calm and sleep. She is ever faithful. Other friends may fail, but seek ye her in any quiet place. Smiling, she will rise and give to you her kiss. So must ye come as children. Little children that believe do not ever doubt her beauty or her faith, nor deem her tenderness can change or die. Bohemians and priests, the desperate call of heavy hearts is answered. By the power of your fellowship, dull care is slain. His body has been brought yonder to our funeral pyre, to the joyous singings of a funeral march. Our funeral pyre awaits the corpse of care. O thou thus ferried across the shadowy tide, in all the ancient majesty of death, dull care, ardent enemy of beauty, not for thee the forgiveness or the restful grave, fire shall have its will of thee. And all the winds make merry with thy dust, bring fire. It's not done yet, sorry, still going. Fools, 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 when will ye learn that me ye cannot slay? Year after year ye burn me in this grove, lifting your puny shouts of triumph to the stars. When again you turn your faces to the marketplace, do you not find me waiting as of old? Fools, fools, fools to dream you conquer care. Say, thou mocking spirit, it is not all a dream. We know thou waiting for us. When this out sylvan holiday has ended, we shall meet thee and fight thee as of old. And some of us prevail against thee, and some thou shalt destroy. But this too we know, Year after year within this happy grove, our fellowship bans thee for a space. Thine malevolence, which would pursue us here, has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and with the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, midsummer sets us free. Ye shall burn me once again, not with these flames which hither ye have brought, from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire. O owl, prince of all mortal wisdom, owl of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. No fire, no fire, no fire. Let it be in the world where care is nourished on the hates of men, and drive him from this grove. One flame alone must light this fire. One flame alone must light this fire. A pure eternal flame, at last, within the lamp of fellowship, upon the altar of Bohemia. And that's it.
Wow.
So that's recited at this altar by the high priest.
Every time?
Well, it's this back and forth conversation. So it's called the Cremation of Care, and Care, so basically the ritual is they recite this thing. So the high priest is reciting it, and then part of this is Care speaking back. So there's a person that's named Care, and Care is speaking back to the priest. So the priest will say this, and then when it's Care's dialogue, Care will like yell it back, like, ye shall burn me once again, all that kind of stuff.
Is Care the owl?
No. So Care, they actually have an effigy of a skeleton. So they have a wooden skeleton in a coffin, and they burn it. Like, they literally burn it. And so they bring out this skeleton of a man, and it's supposed to be the corpse of Care, and then they burn the corpse of Care. So they say that it's supposed to be this symbol of like, hey, we do this. They do it the first day of the 2-week retreat, because they want to like leave their cares behind. So they're getting rid of care, and they're like exercising the demon so that they can have a good retreat and like not have any of the worldly troubles. Basically, they're trying to escape like the stresses of their life. So they're burning care, like, if that makes sense. So it's just super weird. Like, they literally burn a skeleton in a coffin, like a wooden skeleton in a coffin. So he got a video of this, and so it's a priest, everyone's in robes, and if you watch the video, it just kind of gives you chills. But you can see, let me share my screen again, because right here you can see the... Oh, I am?
Yeah. You never
okay.
stop.
Can you see that?
Yeah, that's big.
So there's the owl. Here's like the high priest and some of the other people up here. And then the lake is right below him. So it must be right there. But then they have all these torches. Like, everyone has a torch. And so when they're doing this, like, it's kind of weird, because I watched the video. They pump out like music through, I think they have some audio visual equipment inside of the owl statue that they put in there. So they like pump out music while this guy is like chanting this thing and like reciting it. And then at the end, they just like light off tons of fireworks. And Alex Jones does like a breakdown of the video on YouTube. And he says that when they light the coffin, supposedly you can hear humans screaming, which there's like enough music that I couldn't really tell if it was part of the music or if it really was someone screaming. But he said that he claimed that when they lit the coffin on fire, that there was like legit human screaming of pain coming from it. So the conspiracy with this ritual is that they actually sacrifice somebody in the coffin, and that's like the beginning of their week. So that's the first really, really weird thing that, like,
how often do they do this retreat? Like
every year.
monthly,
This is every July. Yeah, it's 2 weeks in July. So this is the first really weird thing that they do. So he documented this in 2000, and then in 2002 there was a guy. His name, well, his like alter ego is the Phantom Patriot. So he dressed up in his Phantom Patriot suit, which was like a rubber skull mask, and he had all these weapons on him, and he broke in and he burned like the recreation and dining hall, and he ended up getting caught and got 11 years in prison. But so
this is a man of chaos. Oh, I love that.
Yeah. The Phantom Patriot. He apparently he was like a cosplayer that worked in Vegas for a while too. He's like a showman after he got out of prison. So the Phantom Patriot was his alter ego, and so that's what he dressed up as and had these weapons and was gonna. And he even made like homemade body armor because he thought that he was gonna get killed when he went in there. So he made homemade body armor, went in, and burned the building down. I don't know if he burned it fully down, but that's basically what he did. So there's some other weird stuff that goes on here. One man claimed that he saw a child that got murdered there in 1984. So there's a man that testified that he saw a snuff film of a child being killed in some large trees. And so he didn't know like where it was at first. He just saw the film, but he saw the owl statue in the background. So then they showed him the owl statue later and the men in like the red robes. And he's like, oh yeah, that was totally the place that the child died. So there was a rumor that a child got murdered there in 1984. There's the rumor that they do human sacrifice there, like in that ritual, the Cremation of Care. And the police actually investigated in the mid 80s. There were some rumors of some murders that happened on like super remote parts of the property. So they did some investigation there and it didn't really go anywhere. They investigated some other criminal acts in the area that didn't really go anywhere, but human sacrifice is a big thing there. The other biggest thing, like one of the scariest things for people to think about, well, I think human sacrifice is scarier than this, but people think that like the fate of the world is decided there and like policy is made there.
Underground world order kind of
exactly
thing.
Yeah, so that's like the new world order. There's a lot of people that think that this meeting is the new world order because it's all the richest people in the world and like the most influential people getting together, and so they think that they're like conspiring together to help themselves accumulate wealth, to plan wars, to plan things like that. And also I mentioned that J. Robert Oppenheimer was there, and the S1 committee and the presidents of like Harvard, Princeton, and Yale were all there at the same time. And they're all the people that basically did the Manhattan Project, which was the creation of the atomic bomb that we dropped on Japan. And so it's super weird that they were all there at the same time. So people think that they planned the Manhattan Project at Bohemian Grove and the atomic bomb was conceptualized while they were there. So there's that. There is thoughts of child sacrifice. So this owl god, or this owl statue, some liken it to a god that's called Moloch or Molech, Moloch, or Molech. And traditionally, it has appeared in the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Leviticus, and the Bible condemns any practices that are associated with Moloch because primarily the practices appear to have included child sacrifice. And so scholars think that parents would sacrifice their children to this god to gain power. And so basically it was a sign that you were willing to do anything necessary to gain power. And so the Bible heavily condemned the god of Moloch, but it's theorized that along with the human sacrifice thing that they're worshiping this god Moloch, who sometimes he's shown with the head of a bull and the torso of a human. Other times he's shown with the head of an owl and the torso of a human. So take from that what you will, but it's a pretty common thing to see him as an owl type god.
When you said that when I Googled the Phantom Patriot, one of the pictures that came up was like a flyer that said Leviticus 18:21.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just said that it was mentioned in Leviticus. I was like, oh, I wonder. So I went and looked up Leviticus 18:21, and it is, "Do not give any of your children to be sacrificed to Molech, for you must not profane the name of your God. I'm the Lord." And then also says, and thou shalt not let any of the seed pass through the fire of Molech, neither shalt profane the name of thy God. I am the Lord. Do not permit any of your children to be offered as a sacrifice to Molech. Yeah, in every version, it says, don't sacrifice your children to Molech.
Which should go without saying, right? Yeah, don't sacrifice your children to. So that's really one of the creepiest things to me is this huge owl statue. Like, what does it mean if, like, why else would you have a giant owl? You know, like, what else could that mean? And then people connect it to, like, some people think that there's like that little owl on the dollar bill. I think it looks more like a spider, but that little tiny. Have you ever seen that before?
The tiny one you need like a microscope to see?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a spider.
Yeah, so there's that tiny thing. Some people say it's an owl and it's Molech or Moloch, however you want to say it. Right there, the dollar bill. But that's another potential like conspiracy. And then the other weird thing is that they do. So, like, the original thing with Bohemian Club was that they got together to, like, talk about and celebrate, like, art and plays and literature and all this stuff. So they still do plays and things like that. And they have 2 different plays. One is called Hijinks and one is called Lowjinks. And members of the club will put on these plays. And the Hijinks play is supposedly, like, a serious play. And then the Lowjinks play is more like a comedy play. But apparently they're very sexist. So the other thing is that to get in here, you have to be a man. There's no women allowed. And so
Classic.
all these men are putting on these plays.
I can see the owl
on maps.
No, the dollar bill. I was looking.
Yeah.
I'm like, how on earth do you see owl in that? But I guess I can kind of see it. Anyway, sorry.
So they say that's all connected together. So basically these plays are just really sexist. Like, the men will cross-dress and play women. And even President Nixon, he was asked one time about it. And, like, in passing, he said, without saying the actual word, because it'd be really offensive now, but he basically said that it was the most gay thing he'd ever seen. Like, a bunch of men getting together. It was like a fraternity. And they'd put on these weird plays. And it was like, he said it was very... it was one of the most gay things that he'd ever seen. And so apparently every year they write new plays and perform all these new plays. So that's also a big part of what goes on there, is they do a lot of, like, theater and entertainment like that. And I think it's all just, like, silly now. It's really just silly, and I don't think it's super, super serious. But then they also have lakeside talks. So apparently every day, one of the members, I think I said this earlier, one of the attendees of that year will get up every single day and do a lakeside talk where he'll just, speak on some topic, and whether it's inspirational or educational or whatever. But they'll have one of the...
question.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that they're 501c. So they're, like, tax exempt.
Mm-hmm.
To be 501c, you have to be, like, either an educational committee, a religious club, something like that. So which one are they claiming to be? Is it religion?
That's a good question. I actually don't know.
Let's see. 501c. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, charities, government entities, advocacy groups, maybe that one. Yeah. Educational and artist groups, and religious entities.
Yeah, they could also say they're an educational or artist group. I'm guessing some of them probably do have charities or things like that. Maybe they play it in that way. I'm not sure. I just know that they're a 501c and they're tax exempt. So that's a good question. I'm not sure about that. But because there are no women there, there's a lot of reports that they get prostitutes. And so it's just this, basically how I've heard, like, people will ask members that have supposedly been there, like, what happens there? And they'll just be like, oh, it's just like a frat party. We all get drunk. We do silly things. We just camp. We do plays. But then there have been reports of, like, all these prostitutes. So there was a waitress that worked there that said that she knew about all these prostitutes that were hired, and even knew the owner of an inn that was close by where they would hire prostitutes from. And so supposedly all these high up men are going there to hook up with prostitutes, get drunk, and just like, you know, have a party for 2 weeks. One of the big things is that they have this motto, and it was part of the big speech from the ritual. And the motto is "Weaving spiders come not here." And basically what it means is that when you come to this thing, supposedly this is what they say. I don't know if I believe it, but they discourage talking about business and like what you do on your day-to-day life. Basically, it's supposed to help you escape from your day-to-day life. And so they say like weaving spiders come not here. So like, don't come here to network. Don't come here to talk business. Like, you come here to relax. You come here to basically have a retreat and have fun.
The club motto implies that outside concerns and business deals are to be left outside.
Exactly. Which I think that's a whole load of crock, because you have the most powerful people in the world getting together. They're going to freaking talk business. They're going to create laws. They're going to like, you know, they're going to find ways to make money. They're going to do business deals. Like, there's no way they're not going to do that. So that's supposedly their motto. But this is pretty much it. Like, there's a lot of other like small conspiracies. Like, they perform these different druidic rituals and things like that. And, basically, the main ones are that they worship Molech or Moloch. They do human sacrifice. They control the world, set policies, start wars, things like that. And so yeah, that's the bulk of Bohemian Grove. There's a lot of other supposed stories and things like that people have told. I don't know how much of it is true, but I have seen the Alex Jones video and heard what he had to say. And that to me is the absolute weirdest of everything that I've seen so far. So take from this what you want, but it's a legit meeting that happens once a year with the world elite. And there's roughly 2,500 members right now. That's a
lot of members.
I do know that supposedly Donald Trump has never been invited. Wonder why. I don't know about Biden. I don't know about Obama, but I do know that
probably fit in pretty well there, honestly.
I do know that both President Bushes went. So I want to say Bill Clinton did, maybe not, but
doesn't sound like an Obama thing to me.
No, but a lot of other presidents have been too. So pretty weird. And the Alex Jones one is creepy. So I recommend to go watch that. But yeah, that's Bohemian Grove. So I wanted to get your thoughts now that you've heard a little bit about this. Do you think that this really is just a giant frat party, as they say, and they just get together and have a party? Or do you think it's more of the conspiracy side, where maybe not necessarily human sacrifice, but let's just say any of the conspiracies? Are you more likely to say that it's a frat party, or are you more likely to say that there's nefarious stuff going on there?
Well, there's stuff going on, for sure. There's gotta be, or else it wouldn't be so secretive.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly. I definitely think that these men have a large grip on the world and a whole lot of control, which is scary. So I definitely think there's business deals. There's probably policies that are drafted up there. Obviously, the atom bomb, Manhattan Project. So I definitely think there's some nefarious stuff going on. Whether there's human sacrifice,
but
yeah, I don't know. But it's a creepy place. Any thoughts or questions on what I've presented to you today?
No idea. That's weird.
Yeah. There's a lot of podcasts on it too. So if you want more information, like a different perspective, go listen to some other podcasts on it. And go check it out for yourself. But yeah, it freaks me out. Like, secret societies in general and the world elite, they're just creepy, gross men, like gross people to me.
Reminds me of? I'm guessing you never read comic books.
No.
Okay, well, I read some Batman comic books growing up because I love
Uh-huh.
Batman. And they have this thing in Batman comics called the Court of Owls,
Uh-huh.
which is pretty much that. Like all the rich and famous and powerful people in like a secret organization that are just controlling the entire city, like every aspect of it. And I thought that was funny that it happened to be owls as well.
Right. That's the owl is weird. Like, why the owl? And even they also have, I don't know if you saw this when you were looking, but there's like a seal that's put in like a brick wall, like the symbol.
Oh yeah, I did see
And
that. Yeah.
It's got the owl in the middle, and it says "Weaving spiders come not here," and then it's got the letters B and C next to the Alpha Bohemian Club. So apparently, early on, they adopted the symbol of the owl. Like back in the founding days, they adopted the symbol of the owl. It's just creepy. Like I just don't like it. So that's Bohemian Grove for you.
Don't like it.
Nope, not one bit. But definitely an interesting research topic. So let us know what you guys want to hear. If you have weird thing that you want to hear on the podcast, hit us up on the social media or the email. And also, we would appreciate it if you'd share us with a friend.
That's with a friend.
We're looking to get the name out there a little more. And
Yeah,
if you love the podcast, help us out. Share us with a friend.
I did have someone come up to me and ask me, gave a topic that we need to go over.
What was the topic?
The Russian sleep experiment.
Oh, that's a crazy.
Is that what it's called?
Have you researched that before?
Yeah. Well, I've listened to like one thing on it before, so I don't know a ton.
The Russian sleep experiment is weird. That's a creepy one.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun. I'm pretty sure that's just a creepypasta, though. But
is it? No, I'm pretty sure it was a real thing.
Was it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Deal. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, we'll dig into it and find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, let us know what you think of this episode. If we missed anything on Bohemian Grove, Alex Jones, if you're out there, come talk to us more about it. If you listen to our humble podcast,
That'd be awesome. I could do a Waluigi stash, dude.
Wah!
Wah!
Nice. It's getting long.
Just realized.
You still using the Jerboids?
No, I ran out a while ago and
Did you?
been too lazy to do anything about it.
Well, I think he listens. So
Good.
cool. Well, should we wrap it up?
Oil of listening. Yeah, for sure. Share with your friends, and we'll catch you next time, I guess. Thank you so much for listening.
Yep. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.